So today I'm working on guitar parts, nylon string guitar, and in particular I'm going to use that purple one sitting right over there. Now a little bit about this guitar. I bought it at Costco for like 59 bucks. It was incredibly cheap. It was the last one there, and it was full of nicks and dings and dents. I think numerous children had done their best Pete Townsend imitations on the thing. And I bought it for kind of for two reasons. One was that I didn't have a nylon string guitar, but the other was that it was an act of mercy. It was like the last puppy at the pound sitting there looking all pathetic. So I said, what the hell, and took it home. So when I got this guitar home and started to play it, I was really disappointed. It sounded terrible. It was just like dead and lifeless. And one of the things that I noticed is it had this very, very thick um, like acrylic plastic finish over the top of it, very thick. And then I was going like, well, it's all full of dents. It looks like hell. So what the hell? I took some sandpaper and I sanded all that acrylic stuff off of there and got it more or less down to bare wood, but that wasn't a very consistent job, which I didn't realize until I started to stain it, because some parts didn't stain very well and other parts did. Uh, and you'll notice it's purple. And this thing predates my purple cello. This was just kind of a random event because I had some purple stain laying around. And so it became purple. But the interesting thing is once I got all that plastic off the top of the thing, this very crappy, $59 guitar all of a sudden started sounding like a real instrument. Where before it was just absolutely as dead as a doornail. Now you notice a few other things. I drew on it with a magic marker because I wanted to, but also there's a couple other things. There's an X there, there's another X over there, and I drew those on there because those are markings of where I'm aligning the microphone. And kind of like with the cello where I had tape marks on the floor or where to put the stool, this helps me remember where I've mic'd it. Now, this is a fairly traditional place to mic a guitar. This isn't, but it's working, so I'm sticking with it. Now, the intro part with the cello, I figured out some chords that would lay underneath that part. And then the guitar parts that I'm going to do now are going to take that chord progression. It's pretty simple. G to A to E minor to A, and play a little piece of that for the next part past the intro and start the body of the song. It will have lyrics over the top of it. That is when I get around to actually writing them, which is a nightmare that I'm putting off for the time being. And now the difference is the intro part of the cello was a very loose, free-flowing part, but at this point I'm going to start putting the click track in there to keep me on the beat. Not that human beings play directly on the beat, but the problem is because I'm going to be doing multiple parts, is that if I play slightly sloppy and then play slightly sloppy to the slightly sloppy to the slightly sloppy to the sloppy slightly, you end up with just a disaster in the end. So the click track is just the thing that you refer back to as you do each part to kind of keep the whole thing together, and also gives you a reference point if you've really blown it, is like, am I rushing things, am I falling back, and then it just helps you correct what you need to do. So after I kind of riff on that piano intro, then I'm going to start laying down like a scaffolding for the whole rest of the song. And for whatever reason, I'm going to throw every time signature in the universe at it. Once we get past the extension of the intro and we develop that a little bit, there's a part in 5. That has a couple other chords involved in it, but I was hearing some songs that were in 5 that I just really like, so I said, you know, I got to do something in 5. So, well, I got to write something in 5 if I'm going to play in 5. So that's what I came up with. Um, Now, odd time signatures are odd, and they're not as familiar as 4/4, where you go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what everybody's used to listening to. And instead, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it seems like one extra beat. The beat first downbeat seems to be in an odd place. At least that's what you think. But I remember when I was a kid, there was the tune Take 5. It was a gigantic hit. It's got this beautiful melody line on it, totally accessible. The whole world was listening to it. Did anybody go, oh, it's in 5, therefore it's too awkward and I can't listen to it? No, because it came quite natural. So I said, okay, I'm going to do that. Now, breaking up that piece, I'm going to go into 3 and do something much less original. So, kind of, the 5/4/1 kind of thing, very, very kind of typical bit, and then a little bit of minor chords substituting in, basically playing the same damn thing. But it means, if the part in 5 is a little odd, then we'll come back to something very familiar, and 3 is a very familiar time signature for most people. But then I'm going to get even odder than that. Once I get through that piece a couple times, I'm going to go into 7. And of course, I have to practice it, not screw it up like I just did. But now I've got a bunch of parts. I got my part in 5, I got my part in 3. I'm going to flip into 7 for a while. And I kind of did that, and I thought, well, this first introductory chord progression, I could start strumming that and go back into 3 again. When I first did it as the as the cello intro, it's in 4/4 time. But if I went to, now it's in 3, and I can vamp on all those different little chord progressions and do that. So that's what I'm up to doing now. So off we go. Okay, this is what the screen looks like. And this green thing, this is the guitar parts that I've been playing. It's these little X things. This is where I've moved things around where I wasn't happy about how I played it. And this is the miracle of the computer. I can move things around. And if we make this go, you can kind of hear what's going on. Except for... Now, when I'm playing, the click track's there, and this is what helps keep me on time, although, I'm still moving things around, so you can hear that now. Now, the important thing is when I'm actually playing the guitar, I got to be under headphones, because if not, the guitar part's going to have that click, 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 click in it, so I can now make that go away. And I just hear guitar without that clack, 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 clack going on. All right, some other things about writing with a click track is that I talked about these time signature change. In particular, here comes one here. We have this note sustains out, but then this part is the first part that's in 5/4 time, where this is still in 4/4. And that's where, if we look up here, 2 things happens. One is, when I started playing the 5/4 part, it just seems too damn slow after this part. So I said, okay, I need to speed it up. And that's what this is doing. This is going faster, 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 until it hits the new tempo there. And also right there, it goes into the new time signature, which you see is actually 5/8. I said 5/4, but that's the way it sounded right to me when I plugged it in. But you'll notice here, not only the time signature will change and what I'm playing, but also it will change the click track. So if we give this a listen, here we go. There you go. And you can see each time we got one of these little points here, this is where I've done a little edit to spruce thing up. Now, if I didn't have tendonitis, I would just play it over and over and over again until it was good. But if I do that, I'm just going to ruin myself. So I get it good enough, and then I go and fix things. Now you notice there's some other tracks down here. These are, these things in particular, these are screw-ups and ideas. This is kind of a sketch pad area down here where I throw ideas at stuff. And then if it actually gets used, then I work on it and place it in the main bit. So anyway, so at the end of the day, what I'm hoping to do is to have a nylon string guitar part that actually is a scaffolding for the entire song, front end. I might not keep all those nylon string guitar parts, but at least I've got a structure then, kind of the underneath Christmas tree that I can start adding the various ornaments of instrumentation as I go along. So we'll see how that goes, and after that I've got a hankering to start sticking some electric guitar on this thing. See ya!